Today on Restoring Hope Live, we're going to discuss and talk about a woman that had an abortion and had to make that choice for abortion. This is Bob Montserrat, Cat in the Hat, filling in for Mac, J. Michael McCoy. And we'll be back to discuss today's program.
Restoring hope. Open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Well, here we are on Sunday. Happy you have joined us today. This is Bob Montserrat, Cat in the Hat. I'm sitting here with Dr. Mike Hartwig.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Bob. How are you?
It is afternoon here, but probably morning for other people. Doing great. And today we have a great show. We have a guest today. Our guest is Sheila Luck. And Sheila had an abortion, and we're going to be talking about that choice of abortion today. So, Mike, go ahead, take it away.
Well, thanks. It's nice to be here. I kind of feel out of place here, out of kilter, because J. Michael McCoy is sick today. He called me this morning. I was up beyond, I couldn't believe it. I was up in front of my computer this morning at 4:30, and I get an email from him saying, Mike, I'm sick, you're on, and he didn't think I was going to get it until about 7 or 8 o'clock this morning. So,
Yeah, and I got it early, too.
Yeah, you got it early. But my timing is all messed up. I got stuck on the East Coast, and so I was just wide awake at 8 and 4 in the morning, and all of a sudden I'm in there. But anyway, he texts me and he says, hey, I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to make it today. And ironically, we were supposed to be at the same party and a get-together last night, and my son was coming in time, so I begged out of it, and then a couple of people ended up getting sick. So it was God's providence that I'm in front here today.
Absolutely.
We are very privileged to have with us someone that drove a long way to be here today, because she's got a phenomenal story. God has really worked it well in her life, and as he does in all of our lives. But Sheila has just been used by God in a tremendous way because of the story that she has. Sheila, welcome to the program. Thanks for being here with us.
Well, hi. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, very good. Thanks. I really appreciate your effort to be here. Sheila, I had a chance to read your book, the My Baby's Feet. Thanks for getting that to us. Really intriguing story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get to be here in our studios today?
Wow. That's a long
big question.
story.
Yeah, big question.
It probably started from the writing of My Baby's Feet. I had never, ever intended to even tell this story or to write a book. I never had a desire to write a book, any books, and now I've got actually 5 published books.
Oh, wow.
This was the first manuscript. God kept encouraging me over and over and over to quit my job, and I didn't understand why he wanted me to quit my job, because it made no sense. I'm an attorney. I was working full time as in-house counsel for
wait a
a
minute. You're an
company.
attorney. You seem so likable.
Well, I've retired. I retired from the classic day job as an attorney in 2003 when I finally, after about two and a half years, finally said, okay, God, I'll quit my job.
And what did you do as an attorney?
I worked as in-house counsel for, ultimately over my career, it was 3 different companies that I worked for.
It was the oil industry, wasn't it? It was.
Originally for Exxon.
Oh, wow.
And I lived in Houston, Texas, worked for them for about 9.5 years doing classic oil and gas work.
Wow.
Then we returned to Wisconsin, which is my home state, my husband's home state as well. We decided we were too far away from family.
Sure. So where'd you grow up?
Originally Scandinavia, Wisconsin. It's right in the middle of the state.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I live now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to school?
College, I went to University of Wisconsin, Platteville, Wisconsin,
Sure.
and law school, I went to Marquette University Law
wow.
School. Yeah.
So understand you ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd and all that kind of things. Can you walk us through some of that?
Yeah, well, actually, the crowd was probably good, but my choices were not so good.
Sure.
I mean, it was a small school, so there's only one crowd.
Oh.
not that many crowds to pick from,
Sure.
but also in a very small school like that, there's a lot of things that kids can find to entertain themselves with. And really, I believe part of my the choices that I made and why I made the choices really stem from just seeking love in all the wrong places. My father died at 9 years old, and
wow.
and then I was just seeking acceptance. We moved to this other town, and
Sure.
and I wanted friends, wanted to be accepted, wanted to be loved.
So, did you go to church when you were a kid?
I did. I was born and raised Lutheran, baptized as a baby in the Lutheran tradition. And we went to church all the time. And I do remember asking my mom once as a teenager, why do we go to church all the time? You know, I was educated, but it never went from my head to my heart. I didn't understand it at that point in time. And I didn't understand why we went to church on Sundays. But I did know that if you went on Sunday, my mother was pretty lax in the rules regarding Saturday night's curfew. So if I met my obligations, I was okay. So
As long as you made it to church on Sunday.
as long as I made it to church on Sunday, she didn't say too much about missing curfew on Saturday.
Oh, wow. And then how'd your dad die?
He had a blood clot that went into his heart.
Oh, wow. How'd
Yeah.
you take it? I mean, what did it just...
Well, I was only 9 years old. It was just a very confusing time. It really became much more confusing when you realized later
Right.
about how your life gets thrown out of kilter, how your life changes. You know, my mother remarried a year and a half later or so, and we moved. So now our house was very different. We had
All right.
step brother and sister that lived in the house we lived in. We moved into my stepfather's home with them. It was an uncomfortable situation, probably for everyone.
Yeah. So you didn't get along well with your step brothers and sisters or your siblings?
I don't think any of us liked the mutual home.
You didn't like the new... What about your mom? I mean, did she get along with that? I mean, did she like...
She did. I think it was also very hard for her. I mean,
Sure.
it was... We moved into his home and his children's home, kind of... she had
Right.
encouraged everyone moving into a different home. We can stay in the same town, because
right.
that's where his job was, but maybe we should all start in a fresh home.
Sure.
And so we were always, at least from our perspective, felt like we were invading their space.
So you ended up going to school then. You went to...
High school there,
High
middle
school.
school and high school
Then
there.
you ended up going to college.
Going to college. I finished high school a semester early to go to college.
So pretty smart person. You got straight
Well,
A's, didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah. and-
Oh, close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I was. It was a very small school, but
Sure.
I was salutatorian of a high school class, and then of course you get to college and there's. I worked hard. There was
Sure.
my sense of ethics and success and whatever was based on doing well.
Right.
Not necessarily it went with that whole concept of going to church on Sunday. If you met your obligations, it didn't matter a whole lot what you did on Saturday night.
Right. So then did you start dating in college?
Yeah, I mean dating and
Yeah.
dating in college and I've had dates some in high school too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then ended up, you got pregnant?
Actually, I got pregnant while still in high school, my senior year of high
Oh,
school.
wow.
I was this is kind of unique coincidence, but the early November is when I confirmed with the doctor that I was pregnant, and I believe the date was November 6th, and that is the date that my husband and our first daughter was born on November 6th. I had the abortion. I chose abortion out of feeling desperate and not knowing which way to turn and thinking it was the only solution for me. And I went to the clinic on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
And the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is when our second daughter was born.
Well,
So-
we're going to come back and explore that a little bit.
Mhm.
Sheila, first of all, thanks for sharing your story with us today and opening up those pages, those dark pages of your life. Sometimes that can be really gut-wrenching, but thank you so much. Hey, if you're listening here today and you have an abortion or you have an experience with an abortion, maybe a family member, a loved one, something like that has had that in your past, we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 1-855-244-0077. We'd love to hear from you.
Restoring
Good things come in threes. You meet your soulmate, you get married, you have your first child together. Good things do come in threes. And Take Shape for Life is no exception. Your free personal health coach, a professional weight loss coach, the Medifast 5-in-1 plan for healthy weight loss, and the Habits of Health system for a lifetime of good health are 3 of the best gifts you can give yourself. Together, they lead to the healthy weight control that helps you take shape for life. Lose weight safely and quickly with the Medifast 5-in-1 plan, featuring medically formulated, nutritious, and delicious meal replacements by Medifast. You'll choose 5 Medifast meals each day, 1 every 2 to 3 hours. Because you eat frequently, you're never hungry, and your metabolism stays revved. Many of the Medifast meals are portable, so you can fit this diet into even the busiest lifestyle. You also get 1 lean and green meal to eat at the time that works best for you. For the lean, you'll have lean protein. The green is servings of low glycemic vegetables. Depending on your source of protein, you'll get some healthy fat too, and that'll help keep you full and satisfied. While Medifast meals are delicious and nutritionally sound, don't think you'll be committed to meal replacements forever. The 5-in-1 plan is just the first phase of our program. In the transition phase, you'll begin to add more fruits, vegetables, and protein. And on maintenance, you're ready. Optimal health is yours. To speak to a personal health coach, go to RestoringHopeLive.com and click on the Take Shape for Life tab. Then let us know about your healthy new lifestyle and how good you look and feel. And thanks for listening to Restoring Hope Live. That's RestoringHopeLive.com.
Here's Dan Celia with today's Stewardship Moment.
I'm not sure the Word of God is received or believed as it should be today. I certainly have my opinion, but I do know this, that there is nothing more important in the world today than for a clear, well-defined, scriptural declaration of the gospel, particularly the gospel of the grace of God. But what about the gospel? See, we have a responsibility as believers to support those efforts that are proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ. I hope as you reflect on your stewardship that you would reflect on the proclamation of the gospel.
You've just heard a Stewardship Moment with Dan Celia of Financial Issues Ministry, helping you plan, give, and invest wisely. For more information, log on to financialissues.org. That's financialissues.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Mike Hartwig. In case you haven't noticed, marriages are in trouble today. One of the things we've learned is that if you don't constantly work on your marriage, it can quickly fall apart. Several years ago, my wife and I put together a first-rate marriage seminar that we would love to partner with you and your church to bring to the people in your community. Simply go to RestoringHopeLive.com and send us an email requesting more information, or check out the seminar tab at RestoringHopeLive.com.
Hi, this is John Botter. I think every parent with a kid on drugs has said, why would my kid use drugs? It seems so stupid, and it certainly put our family in disarray. There's so much tension and pain in our family because of drugs. Boy, that says it all, doesn't it? That's what happens when drugs invade a family. And you often hear addicts talk about the first hit and how wonderful it was and how good it felt. And after that, they just keep trying to have that experience again and again and again. And then later it becomes survival. They don't even think about their families. They don't care about their families. They only think about getting that next fix. And this is why we as parents who've had drugs invade our families can't spend all of our time saying why, but rather say, how do I get healthy?
Find guidance through life's storms. Visit lighthousenetwork.org.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Welcome back. This is Bob Montserrat on the Restoring Hope Live, and we've been having a good time here. Our guest today is Sheila Luck, and we've been talking about her life and choices that she made, one of those choices being an abortion when we didn't realize how young you were at that time. And so, Mike, pick it up from here.
Bob, I want to ask you, how in the world did you get your name Cat in the Hat? Is that because you never take off your hat? Is that what it is?
Because I started wearing a hat, and Mac immediately called me Cat in the Hat, and
And it's stuck.
And it's stuck. And he always has a nickname for everybody.
Yeah.
For
Right,
you, it's
right.
Pastor, Bishop.
Yeah,
you
right.
know.
He doesn't know what to call me. All right, that's what it is. Well, our hearts go out to Mac today. He's homesick. I hope he's listening today. Anyway, just appreciate Mac so much, as many of us do. He's truly a gifted man, and God's worked a tremendous work in his life.
Absolutely.
And just really a great guy.
Yeah, and maybe even Mac would call us in on our number, ask a question.
right.
That
number is 1-855-244-0077, 0077. Give us a call if you've had an abortion in your background, or if you have somebody in your family that's had an abortion, you've dealt with it. Love to hear your story. One of the focus of Restoring Hope Live is we believe there's significance in a biblical passage that talks about how God gives us a story, and we have an obligation to comfort one another with a comfort that we've been comforted with. And for us to keep our story to ourselves is really to really miss out on the opportunity to impact other people's lives. And we have somebody in the studio here that has God's used in a tremendous way to impact hundreds, if not thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people. We'll never know how many people she's been able to impact through her story. And it's because she's willing to share it, just like she's doing here today. Now, Sheila, where we left it is you've gotten pregnant in high school. Right?
Yes.
This is your first pregnancy, right?
Yes.
That we're talking
Yes.
about. And you ended up going in and having an abortion.
Correct.
Now, that was not easy back in what, maybe
1975 it was. So it was 2 years after Roe v. Wade.
Oh,
And so it
relatively
was
quick.
lawful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it was in Wisconsin.
I was living in Wisconsin, but that's not where I had
But you
the
had to go
abortion.
somewhere else to have
I
an
went
abortion.
somewhere else. In Wisconsin, I found out, after going to the doctor's office, and he actually gave me a brochure for an abortion, I found myself sitting in the parking lot in the car, sobbing and sobbing and sobbing, wondering, what can I possibly do? Where can I turn? Who can I talk to? And can I tell my friends? And I
You
didn't
didn't
want
tell your parents?
No,
You didn't tell your mom or...
my mother or my stepfather, of course. But
So did the guy pay for it then? The guy paid for the
no,
abortion?
he didn't know either.
I
I didn't tell anyone. Right.
Oh, my.
I told only one person, and I won't disclose who
Right,
that
right, right.
person is, because that's that person's story if they wish
Right.
to tell it or not.
Right.
But I told only one person that the brochure for the abortion clinic in Wisconsin that this doctor gave me. He said, "Well," he goes, "I think you're about 8 weeks along, and you'll have to make a decision very quickly. This clinic will do abortions up until 12 weeks, and it's just tissue," he told me. And
But you didn't believe that. You knew in your heart. Did you have a sense that it was...
at the time I was just naive, knew nothing really, right at that moment,
Right.
other than, granted I knew that it sometimes becomes a baby, but
Right.
you're so desperate, you don't know what to think anymore. And this is what he told you. And I'm sobbing in the car, and I'm looking at the brochure, and he said, well, they'll do abortions up until 12 weeks along. And after that, it's no longer just tissue. I don't know how it magically changed, but he seemed to create this impression that it magically changed. He actually used the words that your body is forming a nest inside. And then after that, the baby starts to grow.
Wow.
Anyway, so
And did you have a sense that this was a child? I mean, did you even not even want to think that?
I wanted to believe what he had to say,
Wow.
because then it left a door open that felt safe and not
Right.
choosing death.
Right.
I didn't want to think I was choosing death for the baby at the time.
Do you feel comfortable walking us through the process of having the abortion?
Of what I
Yeah.
did or where I was.
Yeah. How did it work? I mean, you walked in, they give you a brochure, and then
Well,
go
the
home and think
doctor's
about it?
office gave me a brochure.
Right.
So that was just a regular
Sure.
doctor's office in our local community. And he gave me this brochure. And then, of course, after I could pull myself together, I had borrowed a car to get to this doctor's office so that I didn't have to go in our hometown. So I went to a different town to the doctor's office, afraid that somehow otherwise my mother would know
Yeah,
or
right.
find out from the doctor, or the gossip would spread.
Right.
And so when I was able to finally compose myself, I got myself back to school, returned the car keys to the friend in school that loaned the car to me. I didn't explain why I needed one. And then managed to get through the rest of the day at school, and just kept thinking about it, got home and was crying about it. And
So I want to back up just a little bit. So they walk you into the clinic. They give you a shot. Did they keep?
oh, at the abortion clinic?
Yeah.
No, I haven't had the abortion yet
Oh,
in
okay.
this part of the
Oh,
story.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So now I'm just trying to decide
Oh,
what
whether
to
or
do,
not- oh,
what to
okay.
do.
Right.
And then I finally called someone out of state and told them, not over the phone.
A
even.
relative?
I can't say who.
Okay.
I think that story is
Right.
for that person to tell.
Sure,
so I
sure.
don't want to be too descriptive
Sure,
exactly where I went or
Sure.
who it was that I called.
Okay.
But I called someone and then met up with him, and he helped me find a clinic there in his state,
I see.
and
Okay.
and took me, and yeah, it was a tall building. I'm from little nowhere in Wisconsin, and so tall buildings are two stories tall. So this was much taller than that, and a skyscraper type building, and the office, the clinic, so to speak, was on I don't know if it was second floor, something. We had to
Yeah,
go up
right.
go up some stairs, and it was an unmarked door, just the number on the door for the address, and went inside, and the room was full of people like myself, and dead quiet in the room. They all in the waiting room, and
It was just incredibly solemn.
solemn. Everyone's just looking at their feet, not looking up, not talking to each other.
Right.
Some people appeared to be there by themselves. Other people were with somebody. And
I had a question to ask you about your thinking at that time before you
Mhm.
actually had the abortion. Was it a matter of, were you looking at the future, what it would mean to keep a child and raise a child, or being a single parent, or was it a matter of shame for people to find out that you did something like this? How were you thinking?
all of the above. All of the
But you
above.
were determined not to keep the baby. I mean, that was not a choice. You
I didn't know how I could keep a baby. I was part of the thoughts were, I'm just in high school. I have a part-time job at the local coffee shop, and I can barely buy extra clothing for myself what my mother doesn't supply. And I didn't, I didn't believe that my mother would help me. I didn't believe that I would have a place to live once I told her I was pregnant. Now, in hindsight, I know now that I was probably wrong.
But at the time,
But those were at the time I didn't
did not
believe.
know, and there was nobody there to counsel you as to what.
Right. I was fearful of telling her for
Right.
no reason, nothing that she said or
Right.
did, just
right.
teenage foolishness, really.
So they come in and you go into the doctor's office and they give you a quick overview of what's going to happen. And
Yeah,
was-
I'm guessing this was probably their laws in this state at the time, in that I had to talk with someone before getting to the office over the phone, where they counseled and talked about the procedure
Yeah.
over the phone,
yeah,
and then the appointment could take place the next day. So probably some sort of 24-hour evaluation sort of thing
Oh, I
is
see.
my guess.
Okay.
Because that was part of the
Yeah.
process required when we made the appointment.
right.
And so then once I got there, you go up to, just like any other doctor's office, you go up and check
Yeah,
in and,
right.
and fill out your paperwork and pay your $300. It was 1975. It was $300 cash. And then you wait until your turn, and then they called you in, and you spoke first with a nurse who talked about the procedure, and she gave me two choices of you can be put under general anesthesia or a local anesthesia, and then she described how you would feel, what each of those meant from you personally.
Wow. So you went through it and
Went through it.
how did you choose to get?
I selected general anesthesia, which is
Are you glad
really
you did
quite fortunate, because I don't have the same memories that many
Right.
women have told me about.
that? Yeah.
So I'm glad I wasn't awake to hear the equipment
Yeah,
and
right.
to truly understand and have the physical sensations that many women have told me
Wow.
about.
Yeah, we're going to hear more about that here in just a little bit. If you've had an abortion in your past, if you've gone through some of this experience, or you've walked somebody through it and you've been able to see and bring some hope through it. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call at 1-855-244-0077, 0077. Love to hear your story. Thanks, Sheila.
Yeah, you're listening to Restoring Hope Live. We'll be back after these messages.
I'm in almost every school bus and classroom. I go to school with your children. We say the Pledge of Allegiance together. You see me around the neighborhood and you tell me that I'm a pretty good kid. Well, I'm one out of every 5 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. This problem is closer than you think. My teacher tells me we can grow up to be whatever we want. I want to grow up to be someone who doesn't go to bed hungry. There's enough food in this country to feed everybody. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 8 meals for kids like me, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we are Feeding America, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Here's Dan Celia with today's Stewardship Moment.
In Isaiah 55, God makes it clear that His word does not go forth and come back void or empty. He says this, but I shall accomplish that which I purpose. I shall succeed in the things for which I sent it. Listen, I don't know about you, but I have never found a place in all of Scripture that when God spoke, nothing happened. Listen, whenever Jesus spoke, it came to pass. In my life, whether it was destruction, healing, or love, something happened when God spoke. When you read the Bible or pray, listen to what God has to say about His will for your life.
You've just heard a Stewardship Moment with Dan Celia of Financial Issues Ministry, helping you plan, give, and invest wisely. For more information, log on to financialissues.org. That's financialissues.org.
Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. At 7 I shower. Every day I wake up
For those caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Pocket Testament League presents Pocket Power. Read, carry, and share the gospel every day. If you've ever failed to share your faith because you just didn't know what words to use, then carry the word with you.
I include these pocket testaments in our visitor folders at church, or I give them out on home visitations, or I leave them in public places such as gas stations, malls, stores, rest areas.
Hello, this is Mike Brickley, president of the Pocket Testament League. Reading the Bible every day is so easy when you always have it with you. You won't even need a backpack. You can carry one right in your pocket. What are you waiting for?
I witness to people with tracts, but also leave them with the Word of God for them to read for themselves. I'm going to let my people at Fellowship know about the Pocket Power Ministry. Thank you for your work in God's kingdom.
What are you waiting for? Read, carry, and share the gospel every day. For more information, call 1-800-636-8785 or visit pocketpower.org. That's pocketpower.org.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
Welcome back to Restoring Hope Live. Bob Montserrat here. I'm sitting in actually for J. Michael McCoy, who's out sick. And we're kind of sad about that.
I tell you what, that guy never gets sick, you know. He's just a trooper every week. He makes me feel bad every time I'm off and around and about, and I miss him. But
he's a real pro.
He's
So we got a great show here. We have our guest is Sheila Luck, and we've been talking about her life, basically.
Next week on Restoring Hope Live, I want to get this in here somewhere. Next week, we're really excited about having who we've got coming in next week. We have a girl who is going to tell us her story about human trafficking in India. So she has been involved with a ministry overseas dealing with that. And we think that it's not here in the United States. No, it is here. And there's ministries out there that are dedicated to helping people out of those kind of things. So we're excited to be able to present that story and showing people how they've been able to recover and
therefore we have the name Restoring Hope.
Yeah, Restoring Hope Life. Yeah, Sheila, God's worked in your life. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing that story. Our phone lines are open at 1-855-244-0077. Give us a call, but we'll go to the phone lines here in just a little bit. But Sheila, I want to pick up the rest of the story. So what's happened is you've just had an abortion, and you're coming out of that abortion. Tell us what happened right after that.
Well, right after leaving the clinic, I felt relief because I thought it was that I had no choice and nowhere to turn.
Right.
And I felt relief.
Right.
But that didn't last forever.
Right. Right.
As you start to realize what really happened and what the truth about abortion is.
How long did it take for you to start regretting that decision?
Oh, actually, if you read my book, My Baby's Feet, I started regretting it. In my memory, I started regretting it much later, like maybe 5 years. Started realizing then what happened. But what I didn't realize is God just enlightened me just within the last few weeks that I actually mourned the baby right after, and for months after. And you know how when you block out, your mind can block out bad memories. And I apparently blocked it out, and He has blessed me just this month in opening my eyes to some memories that I didn't even recall.
We've got Frank on the phone lines. Frank, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, what do you got for us?
Well, I wanted to let Sheila know that I had a similar experience in 1975.
You had an abortion.
A girl I was involved with in 1975 had an abortion.
Sure.
And I want her to know that women aren't the only victims in this because, this has kind of seriously haunted me and bothered me over my life. And what especially kind of bothers me at the time is that my parents were very supportive of me. They come from a generation that I guess my grandpa said, "What got caught in your bear trap belonged to you." So it was kind of a thing that didn't make no difference where the child come from, who it belonged to, the origin of it. It was a life, and it needed to be raised. And my parents were kind of supportive of me in that we tried to talk to the girls' relatives, sisters especially, that we would take it and raise it. That we didn't want the child to be aborted. And
Hey, Frank, let me ask you, what do you say to that case? If you could go back and do it all over again, what would you have done?
If I could go back and do it all over again, I believe, it's hard to guess, but I believe that if I had support or had known that maybe the father would have supported me or the baby, that I would have chosen life for the baby. I thought I was all alone. I thought I had no options.
So what would you recommend to people now? I mean, if a girl's listening to this and she's pregnant and she's struggling with that decision, she's in the car and she's wondering she's got that brochure in her hand, what do you say to her? Her parents aren't necessarily involved. I mean, that's a hard choice.
Yeah, if she's afraid to talk to her parents, there are so many more resources now. Talk to people. Seek out help. Right. There is help there's pregnancy centers. There's like in your case, Frank, in Frank's case, there's the father, maybe he is supportive and maybe he's not, but find a friend, find a church, find a pregnancy center. Right. There are many resources today available that this is not the choice that you need to make. And you live with this choice the rest of your life. It's not the fast, easy choice.
Right. So did you go through a period where, I mean, you were, like I've heard, and I've had people in our counseling office where they're just locked down. I mean, they literally get to a point where they shut down. They go through major depression. Their marriages are a wreck.
Yeah. And I have women that talk to me about, like I mentioned, I took general anesthesia. One woman told me she tried to change her mind during the middle of the abortion, and she continues to hear the equipment as a flashback. She hears it daily.
You mean she hears the? You mean the mechanics of it?
Yeah, she hallucinates.
Yeah.
Kind of a hallucination. She hears the equipment over and over over throughout her life daily. She
tries to change her mind.
She tried to change her mind during the middle of the abortion. Stop! I don't want to do it. Well, you can't just stop at the point that she wanted to stop.
Oh my!
Yeah. And she was encouraged. She got the wrong advice. She was encouraged by her mother and others. I won't go into all that, but she was encouraged by many others in her life this will be the quick, easy choice. This is what you should do. She did not want to do it, but she listened to those voices, unfortunately.
Right. So let's finish with your story, or progress farther with your story. So what happened then is you got to college and you start moving ahead. What about your other relationships? Did they pan out, or did it impact your other relationships?
It changed my whole personality, as far as I thought I was just shy or something, but really I became very introverted and afraid to do anything. I still stuck with my concept of success. If you keep working hard, you can hide anything if you are successful. So it came out in my life as a workaholic, as compared to negative things. People choose alcohol and drug addiction and other self-destructive. I actually did positive things in a sense as a workaholic and doing my best in school, trying to hide it that way. But I also became a bit of a chameleon because I wanted to be accepted and didn't want anyone to know who I was. I was afraid they would discover who I was, if that makes any sense. And so I would, be very quiet until I kind of knew, say, for example, what kind of person you think you would like. So then I tried to be that person. And so I was constantly trying to be whoever the person I was talking to, whoever I thought they would like and accept. And you can't be a perfect person for everybody. It just doesn't work. So it's a very confusing way to live.
So you're married.
I'm married.
Right.
Yes.
And how did you tell him that you had this abortion? How do you take it?
He was wonderful. My husband, Wayne, is a wonderful man. And
you're just saying that.
No, he really is. We've been married 29 and a half years now. So he is a wonderful man to put up with me all this time. But he when he asked me to marry him,
He didn't know when he asked you to marry him?
No, and I said, well, I can't answer you until I tell you this, because I knew by that time that it was such a volatile subject that I was afraid to head into marriage without him knowing.
Wow.
And so I told him, and he said, well, I love you, and that's all in your past. And
was it really in your past, though?
Not the healing.
Oh, yeah.
Not the healing of it all. But from his perspective, well, that was chosen.
He was willing to
long
forgive
ago.
you.
He was willing to
forgive you.
Yeah, he was forgiving me. That was his way of saying.
So how did you deal with it?
Oh, it took years. Once you start to realize and discover the truth of what abortion is, and accept that truth, that I chose to have my baby killed. Where does a mother go with that?
Oh, that is a very in-your-face statement.
It is. But it is the truth.
I chose to kill my baby.
Yes. I hired a hitman, a doctor.
Oh, my.
But it is the truth. I mean, once you know the truth, and many women can't, and they struggle with hearing that truth, and they struggle with facing that truth. But until you recognize that truth, I believe only then can you seek true healing through Christ.
Oh, my. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like you're a murderer?
Yeah. I have felt like that. I feel like I don't even feel like it's way too light of a word. I know I've been forgiven, though. And I know I've paid the price. And just like Cain and Abel, where Cain killed his brother.
Right.
there are consequences, but God still forgives and loves.
Wow. We're going to talk about that forgiveness when we come back here. You're listening to Restoring Hope Live.
Restoring hope.
Good things come in threes. You meet your soulmate, you get married, you have your first child together. Good things do come in threes. And Take Shape for Life is no exception. Your free personal health coach, a professional weight loss coach, the Medifast 5-in-1 plan for healthy weight loss, and the Habits of Health system for a lifetime of good health are 3 of the best gifts you can give yourself. Together, they lead to the healthy weight control that helps you take shape for life. Lose weight safely and quickly with the Medifast 5-in-1 plan, featuring medically formulated, nutritious, and delicious meal replacements by Medifast. You'll choose 5 Medifast meals each day, 1 every 2 to 3 hours. Because you eat frequently, you're never hungry, and your metabolism stays revved. Many of the Medifast meals are portable, so you can fit this diet into even the busiest lifestyle. You also get 1 lean and green meal to eat at the time that works best for you. For the lean, you'll have lean protein. The green is servings of low glycemic vegetables. Depending on your source of protein, you'll get some healthy fat too, and that'll help keep you full and satisfied. While Medifast meals are delicious and nutritionally sound, don't think you'll be committed to meal replacements forever. The 5-in-1 plan is just the first phase of our program. In the transition phase, you'll begin to add more fruits, vegetables, and protein. And on maintenance, you're ready. Optimal health is yours. To speak to a personal health coach, go to RestoringHopeLive.com and click on the Take Shape for Life tab. Then, let us know about your healthy new lifestyle and how good you look and feel. And thanks for listening to Restoring Hope Live. That's RestoringHopeLive.com.
Hi, this is John Vodder. Let me ask you this question. Is it loving to let a drug addict or a drug abuser hurt themselves? This is a tough question. There are no easy answers to the question, and it's a complex question. First of all, only the addict or abuser can decide to stop. And our begging, our pleading, our cajoling, our threatening, our bribing simply don't work. It's the addict's decision and the addict's responsibility. I think of a young man I know who's now a drug counselor who lived on the streets in California for 20 years. He said, I did not want to do anything but get high. And all my parents could do, and they did it right, he says, is pray for me and wait for me until I was willing to get sober. Why is this so? Well, he says because the drugs were working. That is, he enjoyed the highs. And so we parents have to wait it out.
Visit lighthousenetwork.org.
Hi, this is Dr. Mike Hartwig. In case you haven't noticed, marriages are in trouble today. One of the things we've learned is that if you don't constantly work on your marriage, it can quickly fall apart. Several years ago, my wife and I put together a first-rate marriage seminar that we would love to partner with you and your church to bring to the people in your community. Simply go to RestoringHopeLive.com and send us an email requesting more information, or check out the seminar tab at RestoringHopeLive.com.
Here's Dan Celia with today's Stewardship Moment.
I had a doctor friend of mine say, I've never heard you speak about stewardship of our health. If we are going to be servants of the Lord, we need to take care of ourselves. 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, do you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, who you have received from God? You are not your own. Well, in that context of 1 Corinthians, I'm not sure the Lord was speaking about the stewardship of our body or our health, but he does say we have received it from God and it's not our own. Our health should certainly be a part of healthy stewardship.
You've just heard a Stewardship Moment with Dan Celia of the Regency Foundation, helping you plan, give, and invest wisely. Call them at 877-4-PLAN-WISE or log on to regencyfoundation.org. That's regencyfoundation.org.
Restoring hope. Open my heart to sing. Taking the darkness inside. Revealing your light. Restoring hope.
Welcome back to Restoring Hope Live. This is Bob Montserrat, and we have been talking to Sheila Luck. And Sheila, you have you've written a book. You mentioned that, My Baby's Feet, and I think the audience would probably like to know where they can get a hold of this book. Can you tell us?
Yes, My Baby's Feet is available through Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. It's available for free while they still have supplies left from Elizabeth Ministry International. So if you go to elizabethministry.com and click on their resource center, it's available for free, subject to the price of shipping. I believe they probably have about 1,000 free copies left. So get there quickly if you're interested in the free copy. But otherwise, Amazon or Barnes & Noble. My Baby's Feet is the name.
Yeah, great book. Yeah, thanks, Sheila, for making that available to us. And what a tremendous story. Now, you were saying during the break that you continued to deal with, remorse and all that afterwards. You never really shared with us. So how did you overcome some of that? I mean, you talked about how you admitted the fact that, okay, I took my baby's life. And how did you overcome all that?
Well, if you think about it, it was 1975 when I had the abortion.
Sure.
It took me well over 30 years now to fully heal. It wasn't until I understood that through Christ there's forgiveness, but it took a while for that to reach my heart and accept His forgiveness.
So walk us through, how did you really enter into that?
Oh, I pray. Once I realized what I had done, I would pray over it just like a colicky baby. Pray, like, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. And everyone says, well, He has forgiven you.
Right, but you don't feel the forgiveness.
You don't.
Yeah.
I didn't accept it.
Yeah.
And there were pieces of the forgiveness part that there's kind of all sorts of aspects of forgiveness. But if you think of the Lord's Prayer, forgive us as we forgive others.
Yeah.
I hadn't forgiven others was one of the steps that took me so long that I realized that, and so I made a long, long list of everyone remotely involved in my situation. And actually God was on that list as well because I was angry with Him. Didn't know it, but I was. And
why were you angry at God?
God, why did you take my father away? Why did you cause me to move? Why did we have to live in this town? Why weren't you there when I was seeking a solution? Well, He was always there, and He,
Right.
He was there, but I was angry with Him. But once I put everybody on this list, including God, and shed many, many tears over it, all of a sudden I felt, that was, for me, the element of forgiveness that wasn't enabling me to accept His forgiveness.
Wow. And then that whole aspect of forgiveness, how does it flesh itself out when you when you're confronted with a flashback or something like that? I mean, do you have to go back and revisit all that, or?
In God is so gracious. Just recently, just 2 weeks ago, He brought a song back. Actually, I listened to it on the radio and thought, what a surprise. And it brought back memories. I thought perhaps I was cold and calloused in that. Why didn't I remember loving this baby? And it turned out that the song brought back memories that I had blocked out for many years. The song is called If. And it starts with, if a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I paint you? And when I heard that song on the radio recently, all of a sudden I realized, I used to sing that line over and over and over and over and over, thinking I can't picture my baby. Whereas, I mourned the baby. And when I heard that song again, I got to re-mourn the baby with peace. I cried again with tears, but they were tears of peace from
now
God.
you've gotten married. You've had children now. Walk us through you.
Yes, we have two daughters who are now grown. They're 26 and 24.
Have you shared with them the abortion?
Oh yes, I used the manuscript of My Baby's Feet to tell them about it. And also,
okay, so they're teenagers, or they're teenagers?
Yes, the oldest was 16 when I told her, yeah.
And you walk into their bedroom and say, hey, I got something for you to read?
Sort of, yeah. I was afraid. I mean, my oldest daughter came home from youth group one day armed with pro-life materials and said, how can a woman be so cold and callous as to kill their own child? How could she be so horrible?
They had no idea.
They had no idea. And at the time, I was working on the manuscript for My Baby's Feet, knowing that I would have to tell them someday. And we had a very good relationship, and I was afraid of their reaction. Now I was really afraid of their reaction.
Right.
Afraid to tell her. But I gave her the manuscript to read on the plane, and I was going to be meeting her in Houston, Texas, the oldest daughter, and asked her to read the manuscript on the plane, and we would talk about it when we got to Houston. And I thought, well, this way she's captive. She's 16. She can't slam the door and run out of the house. She's stuck with me, and we'll talk it through.
Sure. And what was her reaction?
Well, to keep it real short, when we got I picked her up at the airport. We got in the car. She didn't say anything. She seemed normal, and then she finally says, "Mom, I read your book." And then she added, "It was hard to read. I kept crying." And I said, "Well, I didn't mean to make you cry." And she says, "Well, no, Mom, I was crying because of all the things I said to you. I had no idea." And then we hugged and cried a little bit together. And I started to start the car again. And she says, "No, wait, Mom, wait." And I said, well, what? And she says, "Mom, you need to know I still love you. You're not the girl you were when you were 17. God changes people."
Wow.
And I thought, oh, out of the mouths of babes.
Yeah,
And
right.
part of forgiveness is reconciliation. And through those words, God enabled me to know that there's reconciliation, not only with my living daughters, but with the baby. Someday I know I will be reconciled with that baby.
Sheila, if you had the chance to talk to somebody that had gone through an abortion and they're dealing with it, they're struggling with it, they have a huge amount of regret, what kind of things do you say to them?
I want to remind them that God loves them regardless.
Oh man, but what you were saying before is I can't trust God. God took my dad away from me. He took me at his move and all that. I mean, it sounds so hollow. It sounds so cheap.
You know,
I agree with you, but you understand what I'm saying.
We live in a difficult world. God didn't really do all those things. He was there for me all the time. But remember, I was asking, why do we go to church? I didn't even understand, so I wasn't walking with him.
How did you get over that hump, though, that says, yeah, God, I come to recognize that you do love me even in the darkest times of my life. How did you come to that point?
I was 38 years old when I finally recognized God, when he traveled from my head to my heart, when I finally discovered there's a relationship with him. And it was only after that then I could truly understand the concept of healing and forgiveness and love.
Yeah. So you're saying that you went from a point knowing about him to knowing him.
To knowing him. Absolutely. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Sheila, what a tremendous story. I want to say thank you so much for coming in and sharing that story with us. And hopefully we've been able to just bring some hope to some people too. And let me also just conclude this by saying that if you or your, let's say your daughter is going through this and she's found to be pregnant, one of the things that we want to be very careful about doing is giving support to people and helping them as they go through these kind of things. Life is way too precious. And God loves us, and he loves us with an everlasting love. He loves us to the point where he sent his son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for us. And there is indeed great hope. Sheila, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And boy, I'm just hoping people will contact you. Check out their website. If you need more on that, give us a call at our office or check out our website at restoringhopelive.com. And until next week, thank you, and may you live out the peace of Jesus Christ in your life.
Yeah, and I also want to mention, too, you're on Facebook.
Yes, I am on Facebook. So Sheila Luck is my author page on Facebook.
Right.
And if anyone wants to, they can send me a private message through Facebook, and I'm happy to communicate through there.
As a matter of fact, I found you there. So,
good.
And it's M, too, Sheila
M. Luck.
Sheila M. Luck, yes.
And that's how I found you on there. So I just wanted people to know that's where you can be found. And I already liked your page, so so if you want to be my friend, you're gonna have to find me, Robert Montserrat. So even though I go by Bob, it's Robert on Facebook. So just wanted you to know.
All right, well that's it for today's show, and till next week when Mac should be here. Live out the grace of God in our lives.
Yeah, if not, he'll be here in 2 weeks.
Jesus or Mac?
Well, I know what I'd prefer.
That's right. All right, thanks a lot.